If you have the courage to bear insult, bear injury, if you have the courage to accept, adjust, and accommodate, that's all takes courage and selflessness. It means you are not the most important person in the home. Everyone is. Sometimes you have to stand back and say, they have greater needs than I have. And that's the only way you can do it. Now it's all about I. Everybody that comes to see me, they're depressed because they're all into I mode. Poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me. I said, what about your other person? I'm depressed. And how is your depression affecting your wife or husband? You think you have a right to disturb their peace? I'm depressed, so everybody has to pay attention to me. What about them? What about the poor people that are looking after you all day, having to work and clean up after you? What about them? Don't they have a life? Is it only you? And they see it differently. And they learn to see it differently. It's this selfishness that we need to get out of. Selfishness. If you suffer, other people suffer too. If you're joyful, other people are joyful too. So it really is. We can really make a home, a temple, or a prison. The choice is ours. We can make a place of work a temple or a prison. It's all up to us. In a bad situation, tell people, like Johnny said, it's serious. It is serious. Let's get grounded. How can we work together? How can we share resources? How can we make this work better? What can we do during the time of crisis to help each other out? What can we do to make your load lighter? What can I do to help lift you? Those are the questions you ask. Oh, it's crisis, I can't do anything, I can't share. So you hoard to your 50 pence, you know. Nadia was telling me a lovely story yesterday. She said she had 10 pounds in her pocket. And then she saw somebody poor on the road, so she gave her 2 pounds. And her friend says, you only got 10 pounds. Why are you giving your 2 pounds? Weren't you supposed to buy a blouse or something? Or a dress you needed? Yeah, it doesn't matter. So she sees another poor person, gives them another 2 pounds. And her friend tells her the same thing. She goes to the shop where she was meant to go to buy the top that she wanted. The top was 10 pounds. She looks at it, and suddenly the lady turns around and said, oh, it's on sale. You can have a discount of 4 pounds. You can have it for 6.
We had a bit of lipstick.
A bit of lipstick.
We had a bit of lipstick and a bit of paint on the back. I washed it and it got out.
So, she got her top. And she gave away 4 pounds. Do you know what I mean? There was no fear in it. There's no fear in it.
Yesterday, the same thing happened. I wanted to buy Maxine because it was her birthday last week. And she liked a stone, and I wanted to buy it for her, and I didn't have enough. And I turned around, I opened my purse, and I found 20 euros I didn't have. I didn't remember I had.
So, you know, it is quite amazing how certain things, I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it so much. You know, I see Lakshmi and Shanti. They travel and with me everywhere. Every time before we travel, how are we going to pay for our tickets? We all three always get our money. I don't know how. You know how? A job comes in or something comes in, and it's really quite interesting. My mother will, you know, send something, or it's always, and without asking, all of us. And you go, how does it work? It's quite a force. It's really quite a force. And it's all based on faith and trust in the universe. And that's where you start. Faith and trust. When you have doubts, it can't work. And how does the faith come in? By living this way. When you live this way, that's what Sri Patanjali tells us when we study the Raj Yoga Sutras. He says, if you practice non-violence, all hostilities will cease. He tells you, if you practice truthfulness, all nature will serve you. And so when you practice those things, you see the results. So that science is so perfect. It's just that we're not taught in schools, that's all. And this is why my dream is to teach it to as many people as freely as possible. May you do the same. I tell my students, give whatever I teach you free, free, free. So because if we can spread our wings, can you imagine we can make great changes? Each one in this room, how many people can you change? How many people you can shift? You know you're a professor. One talk at the university, you can change hundreds of lives. But you have to have the courage to follow the spirit. You may be laughed at. You may be insulted. Poor Sari, when I went to Finland, she organized the talk for me in her lovely college. And she said to me before, Nalanie, you know, the Finns, they may be rude, they may ask you questions, and Ula told me the same. I said, don't worry, I'm used to it. I'm not bothered if they are rude, they're rude. What can you do? I really don't mind. Don't worry so much. Were they rude? They were so loving. And when I finished, and I said, do you have any questions in the auditorium? And the girl said, yes, can you speak more? Isn't it true?
Yeah, she actually said, I don't have a question, but I was just wondering, can you continue?
And then the second one said, I want to learn to meditate,
Yeah.
right? And those were the questions. And she said, well, it went well. See, no fear. Doesn't matter if somebody insults you, doesn't insult you. It's okay. It's part of life. I've had, in my early days, many people insulted me. Call me witch, call me this, call me that. No big deal. That's what they think. That's what they think. Can I change it? They think, I've been called hypocrite like 100 times or maybe thousands. And God forbid, the amount of things I hear said behind my back from people who've loved me, I can hear it. You know, God's given me that gift. They said, da, 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 da. And I said, how interesting. They love me, but they're saying this thing about me. Fine, let it go. And you don't worry about it anymore. You know, it doesn't matter. People have to do their own process. It's okay. Don't get stuck in it. Just do your work. Just do your work. Do what you've been given every day. Start the day. This is my day. What do I have in front of me? What is in front of me? A partner, my job, my children. Attend to this beautifully. How can I bring spirit into this? Oh, how can I be great? No! How can you be simply great? It's like you said, Denise. Make it simple. Simplify it. There's nothing to go to. There is nowhere to go. Whatever fame you get in this world, when you leave it, what's the point? What's the point? Fortune, fame, everything you will leave behind. But what you can really leave behind is love. The memory of goodness, that you've made somebody's life better, at least your family. Isn't that precious enough? Your grandmother, your grandchildren, your brothers, your sisters. How many brothers and sisters are you today? How many over the father's inheritance? What a lot of nonsense. Families breaking apart because of money. What? And you know, I told my father, Dad, when you go, I only want your mala beads. Nothing else. Let everybody have everything. I really don't want anything. Your mala beads, I got his mala beads. The most precious gift in the world. And how free I am. How free I am. If anybody asks, I'm not interested. I'm really not interested. My father has left me enough money to pay all my bills every month. Isn't that wonderful? By trust. I get enough to pay my bills every month. That's it. I love it. How lucky am I? Don't you think that's blessed? How did I ask? Never asked. It happened. Do you see? When you become greedy, that's when things go wrong. All those that want more. Oh, I want this, and I want the diamonds, and I want this. Oh, I don't want to get involved. Hello, I'm so happy with my mother beads. And we need to do that. We need to teach that. If we don't teach it, who's going to teach it? If we don't share it, who's going to share it? Yes, maybe I'm a fool and I've lost out on thousands. Better a fool and a happy fool than a rich person that's miserable and fighting all my life. Not that my brothers and sisters will ever fight with me. They're fabulous. I love them all. I just love them all so much. And I want all of them to have the best of everything. I really do. Because I already am rich. Do you see? Change your thinking. Are you rich?
Yes.
Repeat.
I'm rich. I'm rich.
I'm so rich. Can you
So rich. So rich.
Are you abundant?
Yes.
I'm abundant.
Good. You are abundant. How many people in this world have your goodness, have your wanting to be better, have this in them, who found God in the brightest way to serve as many of God's creatures? How many people in the world want to do that as a living, that are actually wanting to dedicate their lives to goodness? You are really so rich. You don't even know how rich you are, because when you go out in the world, you get caught again. So fish yourself back. That's the teaching of this weekend. Fish, and you forget, call me. That's what my job is. If you forget, not only I've forgotten, I'll just say Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. You'll remember. That's all it needs. You already got the knowledge. You just don't trust yourself. That's the only thing. And I always say, if you don't trust you, doesn't matter. Trust the God in you. The best temple is your own temple. People tell me they don't go to church. You don't need to go to church. You make your temple at home, but make a space. Why make a space? Why make an altar? Why make a space? Because it reminds you in your home how you should behave. You know, oh, I pray everywhere. Yes, but it's very difficult for people to pray everywhere. Don't you know the mind is so fickle? So go, make your space. So every time you look at the space, it tells you, you know what? You really behaved badly today. You learn quick and you go and go, I'm really sorry I behaved badly today. Forgive me. Or it tells you, wow, you had a brilliant day because you did a day of service. And it tells you both things, because it's your space, your time with God, your time alone with your soul, your time with your spirit. And that's how you start. Make your space alone for you. Do it. I tell you, it's the best thing on earth you can do. Get a little, people tell me I have small houses. You know, use the back of a corner of a door. You can make a little shelf like that and put a candle, little picture. You can do it anywhere. You know, when I went to the ashram, one of the swamis had a little wardrobe in his sitting room, little cupboard, and you open it, and in all the little shelves, a beautiful temple. Beautiful temple. Just open the cupboard. Can't you sacrifice a quarter of cupboard? Oh, I have too many clothes, I have too many shoes. Get rid of some. What's it more important, shoes or God? Do you know? And this is what I hear all the time. I go, really? Have you heard me talk all these years? You can't sacrifice 2 pairs of shoes for God because there's no space. You have space for everything else. Even one kitchen cabinet you can transform. No, I have so many plates. And then, oh, because I feed people. Oh, what an excuse.
Well, using my temple at home in Spain, and now in Gibraltar it's just the back of the wardrobe with drawing pins and Gurudev and all the saints and sages are there. Just a little space like that.
Exactly. You can make a space anywhere, anytime. No excuses. That's the thing you tell yourself, right? No excuses. Can you remember that? No excuses.
Nalanie, I have a little corner in the bedroom and I have Gurudev, the photo of Gurudev you gave me a long time ago, and my candle. But it's funny, my granddaughters, even when they were little, they used to come to my house and you say hello to me, and then you used to rush to the bedroom. So when you go to the bedroom first, I have to say hello to Grandpa Guru. And it happens all the time. Children know him. They say hello to me, they go to the bedroom.
Children know him. They know him. Yes. It's true. Grandpa Guru. Children know him. I've seen that so many times. Children know him. They recognize him. They recognize him. I've seen it so many times. So we're very lucky to have that energy in our life. And you know, and the freedom he's given us. Truth is one, parts are many. Let us live in peace and joy. Truth is one, parts are many. So, you know, my advice to all my students is, please find God in your own way. Find God in your own way. way, in your own space, in your own time. We all have a different way to pray. You know, I love that you write notes in your little book, your own little prayers. You know, how precious is that to sit at breakfast and to understand that I'm sitting at breakfast and I'm enjoying this silent moment. You know, I normally talk a lot, and this is so good for me. How close to God is that? Do you know? That is so close. That is a prayer. That is a prayer. Because you're talking to God. Prayer doesn't have to be, Our Father, who art in heaven. Oh, it's beautiful. I love that prayer. I love that prayer. But I don't like it when people go, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Please don't pray like that. You insult God. If you say the Our Father, say it with love. Shall we say it now? Yeah. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Can I repeat that line? On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. The word trespass, similar to interference. Interfering in other people's lives. The gossip interferes. You try to over-help, you interfere. When you don't allow children to be themselves, you interfere. When you possess people, you interfere. My partner, you have to do as I do. Interference. You don't allow people to grow as human beings in their own way. That's all trespassing. We have to allow others to grow in their own way. We don't know what the universe has planned for them. We really don't know. And we think we're so much better, we have to tell them to do it our way. It's so cruel. Please remember that. It's so cruel. For me, it's the height of insult. You know, recently I met somebody who's so vegan, you know? And it was so hard for other people to hear it. They said, oh, you're killing animals. And it's so hard for others, because it's also causing violence. So you create a war like that. You have to be. You create wars. Yes, she's really, the point is that it's, you know, not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. But the way you put it across, you are bad if you don't do this. No. Nothing is bad or good. Didn't Felix say it last night? Did you hear him? We go above good and bad. We give unconditional love. It creates more wars when we are so rigid. Creates lots of wars. So we need to be soft. When he had to be the teacher, he took the teacher role. And he loved cars. He loved cars. He could do anything with cars. He was the best mechanic I knew. You know, one day I was walking down Marina Bay in Gibraltar, and somebody is fiddling with the car. The car broken down. It was an English gentleman. And he went, your car's broken down? And the man looks at him strangely, this man in orange robe. I see his look like 100 of smiles. And he said, you know, I'm a mechanic. Do you mind if I have a look? 5 minutes, they're having a brilliant conversation. He tells him about the carburetor and this and that. Had the car fixed. Do you know? Another time, you know, I'm just showing you that spirituality, because many people think a guru should be so, you know, so, I don't know, so serious. Another time, we're in the ashram, and he goes, you know, Nalanie, my uncle was with me, and he came to pick us up from the Lotus temple, which you all must see one day. It's really incredible. And he goes, picks us both up, and he goes, you know this, you're both coming to my house for lunch, and there is a shortcut to my house. And there was this old car, Oldsmobile or something, and my uncle, who knows about cars, says, Gurudev, you can't go up this road so steep with that car. We're gonna die. And he just starts laughing. He said, Nalanie, what do you think? I said, I think you can. And my uncle goes, she doesn't know anything about cars, don't ask her. I said, well, take her word for it. So we went in the car, and my uncle's like, oh, Namah Shivaya, Gurudev, you really can't do this, you know? Zoom, zoom, zoom. And he raced up that hill. We got up that hill. We got to his house. And we turned to my uncle and he said, that's what faith does. And these were the lessons that I learned from him. Complete faith, you know? And when you have the complete faith, you get the gift. You see? You get the gift in return. I had the faith, and that was my lesson. I had the faith, and it worked. And many times you do that. You have the faith, even though everybody tells you it's dangerous in your life. He's no longer here. So we have to take those teachings and use it in our life. We have difficult hills to climb, high mountains. Have the faith. I really had faith. We were both, me and my guru were laughing, and my uncle was praying. And then I see my uncle's a brilliant driver. You know, he used to race cars, you know, he loved racing cars, and he was so worried. So these are some of the stories, but he was so much fun. And he was always laughing, always joking around. And then there's Dada Vaswani, who I know very well, is a great saint, still alive today. He must be 93. Also, have you seen him? Always smiling, always happy, always happy. Now, it's something different with the disciples. I think sometimes we lost the plot. We get so serious when we first have to get grounded. We have to be a little serious. I think John put it really beautifully this morning. We need to be grounded. So the studying is the groundedness. You know, am I this body? Am I this mind? Let me study the right attitudes. Let me get grounded. I live on this earth. I have to have my responsibilities well laid out. I need to make a living to keep myself, you know. I need to look after myself so I can look after other people. You have to. Because you don't want to be another bag on the road. That's not what yoga is about. We make ourselves self-efficient so that we can serve others. If you're not self-efficient, everybody has to look after you. So you make yourself responsible for your family, for your home, for your work. You become, that makes you grounded. Many people who are spiritual, they talk at airy-fairy. Oh, they go off, but what's the point? Because you ask them to come to earth and they can't deal with life. They can't keep a job. They can't keep a partner. They can't keep... What's the point of being so airy-fairy if you can't live on this earth? So you need both. You need to be well grounded. And mundane things like karma yoga, that you all have done a brilliant job with this weekend. Really you have. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, keeps you well grounded because it makes you humble. Humility. Humility. That's why you get a lot of spiritual people that go all high, talking, thinking, and no solidity in their life. So get to understand real spirituality. Like I said this morning, everything is divine, right? God, dog. So get grounded, and in the beginning, get grounded. Then the next stage is once you get grounded, you can let go a little bit of being so fanatical with all these books and the teaching, and start to take the teaching and learn life, study life. Another lesson my master taught me, because I was very much alone when I first started, and he was an American, I was in Gibraltar. So I started with a meditation, as I told you all to start this morning with. And then I started studying a lot of books, and of course, every master Every book you read teaches something in a different way. Right? One person will explain the chakras in one way, another person will explain the chakras in another way. So I got very, very confused. Which way is correct? Do you see how much knowledge can get you a little crazy? So I called my master, I said, Gurudev, I'm so confused. This person says it this way, that person says it. Nalanie, stop reading. And I love books. Stop reading and study life. Study life. So I stopped. I'm a good disciple. I did listen. I always listen. And I think that was my secret. So I stopped reading, and for 6 months, I really, for me, stopped reading. It was like, reading was my addiction. I loved reading. I loved learning, even as a child. So 6 months, and I just studied people. I watched body language, so I began to learn it. I studied personalities. I studied eyes. And with the meditation, and with a clear mind, I learned a lot from the universe. I got a lot of lessons from life itself. My greatest teachers have been my students. I watched what made them unhappy, and I said, oh, I'm not going to do that. I watched that greed, I need more and more and more, made every single person that came to see me more depressed, not more happy. I learned that when they were untruthful to themselves and to their partners, that there was no peace. So I never wanted to go down that road. Not one person I met that was untruthful had peace. And those were the things I learned by watching life and watching people and just working. This is why people who work in nature, gardeners, etc., they have such a close connection with the divine. 2 reasons. They're very quiet. They're working on their own. They're watching how things grow off the ground, how the sun works, how too much sun, too little sun, too much water, too little water. They learn so much from working with the garden that they become naturally extremely spiritual. It's really very interesting. I learned a lot from gardeners, because I am not a gardener, but I ask them questions, and then I take it to their lives. And how do you apply it in your life? And then they talk to me, and that's how I learn. And I quite like that I don't know much about gardens, because I love the lessons I learn from people who do. They teach me. Like the other day, I think they came to my house and they said, oh, Nalanie, you need to do this and this, otherwise this doesn't grow. It was so nice. I'm learning constantly from other people. They're my teachers. And God sends all the time when you're open. You see, there is so much to learn from life, so much joy in learning. And we lose so much time in our silly mind stuff. I want, I need, I have to have. And we're not enjoying life. Of course life is boring. Of course it's no fun. You go to work, 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 come home, kids go to bed, do this, do that, do this. Next morning, get ready, go, money, make, cook, this, that. There's no joy in anything. How can you not laugh? So you get up tomorrow morning or Monday morning when you go back home, you get up in the morning, if you're with someone, you say, good morning, darling, I love you. And if you're not with anybody, you go, good morning, God, I love you. Just get up and smile and say, thank you for another day. That's all, simply, thank you for another day. Wow, I got another day. Already, you inspire yourself. Already, inspiration. Inspiration, inspire, inspire, and then life becomes fun. But if you get another day at work, another day with problems, you can meditate as much as you want, but when you sit down and meditate, what will happen? Another day with problems, but I will try to be good. So every day I'm getting better and better. You see? So you have to make it fun. You have to love, I'm in love with my meditation, I'm in love with the connection with God, I'm in love with life. It's exciting, new beginning, new beginning. You inspire yourself every morning. I learned that from my father, because every morning I told you, right, he'd get up with, good morning, God. Thank you for another day. Even when he had his cancer and he couldn't move, first thing, out of bed, good morning, God. Good morning. And then he'd go to my mother and say, good morning, Chandra. Always singing, always singing. Sing. Learn to sing more. Learn to chant. Good morning. Oh, what's wrong with you? I'm happy. It's contagious. Like depression and misery is contagious, so is happiness. So is happiness. And it's only developing a habit. Simply, simply, simply. You have to go through the day anyway. Either you make it happy or spiritual, or you make it miserable. Spirituality is not misery. It's a lot of acceptance. Accept. You know, that lovely prayer that I keep quoting and quoting. Lord, grant me the tranquility to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. What can you change? You tell me now. You know. Thank you. You're getting smart, you see. Trust yourself. What can you change? The only thing you can change. Please don't try to change somebody else, you get a headache. So that's what you learn. And the wisdom, give me the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom, the joy. I tell a lot of, because nowadays what I see a lot is couples having a lot of problems. And I say, of course you're having problems. There's no romance in your life. You don't go out for dinner, you argue. All the time arguing, it's your fault and this one. Why don't you just have fun and laugh? Why can't you talk about nice things? Why can't you talk about art, music, spirituality? I'd like to learn this. What is your opinion? I want you to talk about something quite stimulating. Read a nice book. And this is why they say a couple should have their own independence. Their own independence to learn what they like. So when they get together, there's a lot to discuss. It's very interesting. How was your day? Don't just one person talk all the time and give your partner a headache. Because there are people like that. Either the woman talks too much or the man talks too much. And it's an imbalance. It's a real imbalance. And that doesn't make peace in the house. So how was your day? Listen. And then they'll ask you back for sure. But tell me, you've been listening to me for 10 minutes. How was yours? Do you see? How was yours? Sit. Go home with your mother, with your sister, with your children. As soon as they come home from school, don't say, have to do your homework. Poor kids. Come, let's sit. Always did that with my children. Let's sit 15 minutes. Relax. Relax. I would have a cup of tea with them in those days. Sit down, would you like a sandwich? And when I wasn't listening, they would actually tell me, Mom, you're not listening. Have your kids told you that? Yeah. Your mind is somewhere else. You're saying yes, but you're not listening. We're good teachers, right? What good teachers? Mom, you are saying yes, but you're not listening. So I said, okay, let me finish the sandwich and then I can focus. So I'd sit down and listen to them. So tell me about your friends in school. What's your best friend? What's your favorite subject? What about your teachers? What did you learn today? What's your life? What do you think you'd like to do with your life? Even little, I used to ask them. What do you think? Well, just be happy. Whatever you do, just be happy. Whatever you do, just be happy. Be at peace. Work hard. Learn to work hard. Be at peace. And you tell them this every day. Find your peace. And it goes in. You tell your partner every day. You tell your mother every day, Mom, I love you. I know you can lose your temper sometimes, but I love you. I remember once when I was teaching, one of the little girls, I used to teach children's classes, came to me and said, you know, my parents are always screaming at each other, and I get really, really upset. What do I do? I said, okay, we try. Let's see if it works, I told her. Next time your parents are arguing, don't cry, don't bang your room door, don't get angry with them and stay quiet and not talk for 10 days and just go internally like that, because that's what children do. They either go super hyper or they go with it. I said, I want you to walk into the room, hands together like this, and go, Om Shanti, Om Om Shanti. And I said, you mustn't get disturbed. Children learn really fast. She came back the next week and she said, you know, I did it. And I said, what happened? Because it was the first time I did it. So she taught me it worked. She said, you know, I went into the room and I went, Om Shanti, and they looked at me first as if I was going crazy. I said, peace, Mom, peace, Dad, peace, Mom, peace, Dad. They both started laughing. She diffused it, you see? She diffused, without saying anything, just saying peace and joy. When the child gets more upset, you see, I had to teach children how to teach their parents. If a child goes into the room, then the argument gets worse. Because the husband will say, you see now, or the wife will say, you see now what you've done to our child? You've upset them. They heard us laughing. It's your fault, and it's your fault. So the argument gets worse. And then the child hears this. It's my fault. They don't even know why it's their fault, but that's what they've heard. So you see how easy it is to diffuse a situation. And after that, every time they argued, she did that. She stopped so many arguments in her family. Clever kid. Smart child, smart child. And sometimes, and mostly children are telling us the truth, and we don't hear them. We don't hear them. We're so stubborn, we think our way is the only way. Many times my children said, Mom, you know, why do you argue with Dad? And I said, because I love him. How can you say that? Don't you argue with your brother or sister? Yes, we do. Don't you love your brother and sister? Yes, we do. So, no big deal. I'm arguing with Dad. I love him too. He's my best friend. I'm allowed. Don't interfere. I said, I'm allowed. Don't interfere. Diffuse. Make it light. Really? Then they can understand that. Because you can't change your personality overnight, can you? But you can diffuse the situation to children and you can make it light. And you can diffuse the situation with anyone and make it light. You just use the right words. And once I said, you brother and sister argue, you love each other, they totally understood that even though we were arguing, we loved each other. And that made them have their peace. So this is what you bring peace into life. You bring fun into life. You bring inspiration into your life. And you have new beginnings and a brand new life that is filled with miracles. Every day you get new things happening to you. You go, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I know this? And this is how you bring the joy. And spiritual knowledge doesn't mean that all your problems disappear. Many times when people start this path, they see a lot more problems. They have a lot more problems. And I tell them the reason for that is all that they need to learn is coming quickly. All the tests are coming quickly so that they can learn how they deal with problems. They're just tests. Either you pass it or you don't. You don't pass the test, you suffer longer. That's all. So next time you go, okay, I didn't pass it this time, next time I'll try to pass it. Simply. It's no big deal. You fail an exam, you take it again. What becomes the big deal? The emotional baggage. Oh, I'm not good enough. I failed again. I failed again. I'm not good enough. I failed again. I keep getting into emotional baggage. Drop it. Are you getting the idea of lightness and laughing? Or why do you look so serious and tired? I know everybody's so serious, you should be laughing a little, you know. Lighten up, my friends. We're here to enjoy the divine energy. We're in this room to enjoy each other, to enjoy the divine energy, to feel the spirit. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. There's nothing wrong with anybody. It's just shifting energy, shifting. And shifting energy makes you very tired, my friend. So I know you've had a long day, and what I might do this evening, if it's okay with you, if you're happy, I'll cut the session. What time am I speaking to?
So called 7?
We'll cut it to 6:30, right? So you can have half an hour to just be in the garden, just be in this beautiful energy on your own or with your partner, and just sit and not talk. That would be your meditation. Is that okay with all of you, if you don't mind? I think you've heard a lot of talking. I think you need to be. I think you need to have some quiet and go out there, find your space. There are many lovely spaces. I promise, until you go for dinner, don't talk. And if you can, if you're with a friend, or even with your good friend, just try to hold somebody's hand. And I want you to observe something. When you're so quiet and you're in this energy field, you will feel these 2 chakras, you will feel them really strongly. Love heals. And all you have to do is send love to those chakras in your silence, and you see the amount of heat and healing you will give to the other person. Really interesting. So simple. We have such simple tools to heal each other. And silence is one of the best. So will you do that? So I'll answer this question. Very difficult for some people to smile, right?
Sorry, she's Quinta da Calma, that's why
She's supposed to do all that.
that's why I'm so tired. You were smiling a lot, you were smiling a lot.
Sleep for half an hour because we had a really big headache. We came back.
Yeah, so that's why I answer this question, and really, if anyone would like to stay for another 50, most of you go out. Anybody who's just visiting for the day or whatever would like a few more minutes, we can sit here and I can answer your questions personally. That's also okay. That's really fair, don't you think? Okay, so hormones. Interesting.
You wait with this one until Dora comes back.
Okay, I will wait. It's a woman's constant excuse. It's my hormones. I have something to say about that. But let's see what the question is first. How do you control your mood, emotions, and temper whilst in your menstrual cycle or otherwise, when the hormones seem to completely overpower you and you are not yourself? Do the hormones really influence you, or is it all in the mind? Wow, brilliant question, and I can definitely answer you that one, because I went through my menopause. Okay. The hormones actually do affect you. They do shift you. But equally, when you understand that and you calm your mind, they no longer can control you. Now, when I went through what a good question. And I tell a lot of women this, who are going through menopause. Of course, because society has told you menopause, hormones, that's why. So it's now in our psyche. As you think? Now, when before I started my menstrual cycle, I worked with a lot of women who had depression, They had depression, or they had a really change of energy. They suddenly got agitated with life. They started developing panic attacks. Their bodies started to fall down. Their minds were falling apart. Their emotions were falling apart. And many of these women came to me the age of between 45 and 55, all claiming hormones. And what I learned was, wherever you're very weak at before your menstrual cycle is over, before menopause, whatever you're weak at is where you'll become the weakest. So let's say, for example, a person who is not very strong-minded, when they reach menopause, they have lots of problems with the mind. A person who's weak with breathing or chest pains or asthmatic will have problems like pneumonia and very bad colds and this kind of thing. And heart problems, not feeling good. If they're very deeply into unforgiveness, keeping past pains in their heart without forgiving, what happens is they develop a lot of anger. They develop a lot of anger. And all the past that has hurt them, they bring back up in menopause. Oh, this happened to me 20 years ago. How come it's come back? You know, I thought I'd forgiven it. All this comes back again. So when I studied these women, and I gave them hatha yoga to do, and I also gave them mantras to do, and I told them their mind was more powerful than their body, they actually did definitely get better, and they were able to control the emotional mood swings. They were able to control it. So when it came to my own time, what I did is I could see already that I was getting a little, you know how you feel when something is not right? It starts with a little like shaking of the hands. There's something uncomfortable in the stomach. Sri Patanjali tells us to look out for that. As soon as I had that little queasy feeling here, uh-oh, I must be coming to menopause. I was 42 only, I was very young. I went to the doctor. She said, no, you're too young. What? Is she mad? I'm not too young. I knew I was. So I immediately started doing hatha yoga. Every day. I started to do, not the full 1.5 hours, 20 minutes, every day, every day. I was already meditating for 1.5 years. Already meditating for, no, more than that, 4 years, 5 years at that time. So, to tell you the truth, I had no mood swings. I was all controlled. I really had no problem. My biggest problem was the actual menopause, the physical menopause. You know, men, we're all used to this, nothing to hide. I was bleeding 15 days a month for 3 years. And I just accepted it. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that cannot change. I just accepted it and carried on. No big deal. I didn't make a big deal of it. I didn't focus on it. I just knew those 15-minute days would pass, and one day it will all be over. I just knew this too will pass. This too will pass. So I just really swam through my menopause. And in fact, when the doctor saw me at 46 and said, you're too young, you should have hormones, I said, forget it. I've done perfectly without anything. And really, really, I didn't have to suffer. So to answer your questions, hormones do affect you, but you can transcend them. And the practice of yoga helps you to transcend them. So you do realize that there are days you're going to be a little bit more edgy. There are practices you can do. You know, the first thing you feel it, you tell whoever's living with you, I'm feeling a little funny today, so I might take a little longer with my meditation. I may go for a nice long walk, just to quiet the mind, It's the hormones, it's physical. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. Immortal self I am. And really, to tell you the truth, I really sailed through it. I think you can do anything with mind. I really do. Really no problems after that. After 3 years, suddenly one day no more, freedom! No, like, you know, I should be doing this, and all the doctors say this, and all these new therapies. I'm really quite weary of the new therapies. I don't think they have been practiced, they've been tested long enough. And you know, menopause has been going on forever. And women managed without all this stuff. They just accepted it. That was the difference. You see, as you think, you become. Now there's so much information that we put ourselves in boxes. I have my menopause, so my hormones must be bad, so let's blame the hormones. Don't take responsibility. No, take responsibility. You can control that. Take responsibility. For PMT, for hormones, you can take responsibility. There are physical things you can do to help yourself. Definitely, pranayama is brilliant. Breathing techniques are brilliant because it gives the body a lot of oxygen. That oxygen is very healing. Now, doctors have learned that oxygen is one of the greatest healers. And why does cancer occur? Because there's not enough oxygen in the body. Not enough oxygen in the body. So everybody learn to breathe deeply. And you don't have to do, if you don't like to do the Nadi Sudhi or the Kapalabhati or the 3-part breath, just breathe really deeply till you feel the air in your lungs and breathe out gently. The exhalation should be longer than the inhalation. Alright? Because if you empty fully, you can get more oxygen in. If you only half empty, then you put too much oxygen in, you might get a little dizzy. So always exhale longer than you inhale. In the beginning it's difficult, but you will learn how to do it. So really, sorry girls, there's no excuse. Do you know the secret? Pardon?
What about the legs?
They have their problems. Yeah, they fear, their menopause is, they're fearful that they're no longer useful and they're getting older, the testosterone, they're fearful. So with the men, and I have seen a lot of men, many of them make the biggest mistakes of their life at that point, if they're not careful. Many of them. But it also brings them to a new place when they're careful. If they observe their minds and they see it's all fear of getting old, they don't need to, that going out there and looking for more pleasure is not going to really give them the peace, really. And many men have told me that. You know, they've lost good relationships because they got so panicky that they go out and have quite a lot of affairs, the wife finds out, and, you know, they leave the family and they've left something good and they've gone on to one relationship after another and they don't feel happy. They need the solidity as much as women do. Men do. They love the nurturing. That, you know, men are really easy to make happy. They just, same as women, we just love them, tell them that you do, you know, and they'll love you back. Spoil them. We just think women should be spoiled with flowers and presents. I learned you can equally spoil men with flowers and presents. They get excited. What, you thought of me today? Yeah, I thought of you today. I went out and I saw this lovely pair of sunglasses and I felt like spoiling you, darling. Why is it always the woman asking to be spoiled? Why can't the men be spoiled? So they also look for nurturing and love as much as we do. And the secret is nurturing and loving equally, equally, equally. Nobody's superior. And when the men that have come and are really going through menopause, many times they've been forced because they have to look after the family. They feel that responsibility. Many of them have stuck to jobs that they've really not liked for many, many, many years. And they come to a great sadness. But they're very fearful of change. Because they feel, okay, I'm the breadwinner. But there's something in my soul telling me to change. And how can I change? Because I have to support my family. And I've seen many men like that. So they start to develop a kind of inner pain. They get a little depressed. So that depression, if not understood, will go out into other women. They look for that understanding. And if you don't give them that understanding or time or listen to them, they either get very, very sick with heart problems, cancer, etc. Or, like I said, they go out and party and have fun and do all the wrong things, you know? That also doesn't make them very happy. They think it does for a little while. And I just advise them the same as I would with women. Do some hatha yoga, you know, meditate, become a little brave. Maybe it's time to change your life. Don't be frightened of changing. Don't be frightened of the next step. Talk to your partner. I remember there was one gentleman who was so depressed, and he had been working in a job for 30 years. I think I've told this story many times, but I'll tell it again. And he came to see me with depression. He started to take antidepressants, and he was the male menopausal age, 54, 55. Mostly it comes from 50 to 58, I've noticed. And whereas women start a little earlier. And he came to me and he said, you know, I'm so tired of my work. And, you know, I've done it for 30 years. And, you know, I said, but look, you're going to work every day, but you're taking tablets every day. You've had to take off work for a month because you've been depressed. You're not good to your wife. You're not good to your family. What is the point of sticking to a job that makes you so unhappy? Well, what about security? I said, what about your health? No health, no life. So what he did was, he said he would leave his job and do something he's always wanted to do, which was sports with young people. And he'd never done it. He was about 53, 54. But then he saw me for 6 weeks. He said he was going to do it, but he couldn't do it. He stopped with the antidepressants, with the practice of hatha yoga, meditation, study. He stopped with the medication. He was better, but he didn't leave his job. So another 6 months later, the depression came back again because he didn't cure the problem. This time, he left his job. He was fearful, but he left his job. What he didn't expect was the huge, what do you call it when you leave a job and they give you the pay? What's the redundancy pay? He didn't expect that the company was so amazed by his 30 years of service that they gave him double his redundancy packet. Nobody expected that. I didn't expect that. He came to me so excited. He said, why didn't I do it a year ago? I said, that's not my problem, yours. Do you see, we're fearful. And after that, he started to do the sports he wanted and do all the things that he wanted to. Have fun with his wife, have fun with his kids, instead of coming home and be grumpy and say, I'm tired, and turn on a television set. Life became fun again. You see, it's all about re-inspiring ourselves. Live, laugh, love. If you do not love what you do, you cannot be happy. Spirituality is love. The Upanishads call this energy the Lord of Love. No larger than your thumb, lives in the hearts of all. Love. I've watched love heal, understanding. But you know, many people are too fearful. What will my wife say? What will my husband say? We need to encourage each other. Okay, you're not happy. I don't want you dead. I want you alive. I want you to enjoy your life a bit. It's not about money. You cannot take the money with you. Do you see? And we give people that freedom to discover creativity. You know? Men are forced to look after women. Sometimes they can't be creative. I mean, now it's all changing. The whole society is changing. But they need to be creative as much as we do. So allow people to be what they need to be. Allow them to make their mistakes. Allow the men, allow your women to find themselves. Both ways. It's not one-sided.